I just would say pursue your interests.
Yeah.
Honestly,
Yeah.
you're in a new place. Be the person you want to be.
Yeah, exactly right.
You don't have the high school drama to worry about.
You don't have to take any of that baggage with you. The only baggage you take with you is the one you put in your carry-on.
Welcome to episode 2 of the Stepping Up podcast. Excited to be back.
It's good to be back.
Went well the first one, actually. It went really well. We got some good numbers and we got some good feedback. We got a lot of responses. I think it helped some people realize that they need to go to some therapy themselves. And I think the response that we got was a lot more than I had anticipated. I thought maybe 1. We got up to 15, which is pretty nuts.
Yep.
And that kind of spurred, at least me anyway, to come up with some good ideas for this week and really get into it. And hopefully we can keep helping people out.
Yeah, with a bit of luck. It's good. I think, everyone's very quick to work on their body and get healthy and all that sort of stuff, but mental health is something that not a lot of people think about. So if it's inspired some people to go and do that, then
booking your psychologist or psychiatrist is pretty much the first step. It's admitting you have a problem.
Yeah.
Like that Russell Brand book we both love.
Yeah, exactly.
One on addiction. Is it called Addiction?
I think so. I can't remember now.
It's a bloody good book. You should get it. Unsponsored, that one. That's just a shout out to Russell Brand. We both love Russell Brand. But admitting that something is wrong is the first step. And I think it's really important. And thank you to our listeners.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's necessarily something wrong. It's just sometimes you just need some help.
Yeah,
you know? And sometimes just like when you feel like you've indulged too much at Christmas time and you need to start to lean out a little bit.
Yep.
It's exactly the same with your mental health. Sometimes you just need to be able to take a break, go and talk to somebody or do something more proactive than just sit and let it spiral.
Absolutely. Get that January summer gut going if you're from Australia.
Yeah. All year round for some of us.
Oh, at the moment it's all year round for me. There is a big gut. It's
life in Malaysia. Too much rice, too much food.
The rice does get to you. So we wanted to get into a little bit about Brett today. I know he's not keen.
Yeah, not too much.
But I am. I'm certainly keen. So it's important for you guys to know us both. I'm camera trained. I stream on Twitch, twitch.tv/dash.tom. Follow me there. But I'm camera trained. I'm used to this. Brett, not so much. Brett is very much a behind the scenes magic man. He doesn't give himself enough credit, so I'll talk him up before he talks himself down. He does a lot of good work. He's a very good professional, a very good mentor to me, and has changed my life in the last month, very much so, and before that, and has helped a lot of people. So I'll let you talk yourself down now.
Good.
But if you want to give yourself a bit of an intro.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Well, I'm not gonna go back to my childhood or anything like that. I'm gonna keep it. We only have so long, and that was a long time ago. So what I thought, since you're about to turn 25, I thought I would sort of start around there for me as well, just to give you a bit of a view. So when I was just leading up to 24, 25, look, I'd been to uni. I finished uni.
What did you do at uni?
I did a Bachelor of Social Science at uni. I had no idea what
the
I was
fuck
going
is
to do.
social science?
Social science is social sciences.
Did you get asked that question at uni?
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah.
It gets worse because I majored in tourism and recreation as well. So,
right.
Because I didn't know what I was going to do.
How much have you used that?
Look, we did marketing and economics, and we did psychology. So that stuff was actually all right.
It did work out, yeah.
So it helped. It did help in business. It was basically designed for you to either come out and go into the recreation field, which could be anything from owning a education camp to doing things with building supporting playgrounds and making sure they're suitable for children and children with disabilities. And special needs
absolutely.
And so all of that sort of stuff, but also tourism come out with some business knowledge and stuff like that. But I had no idea what I was going to do. I did okay at school, but just middle of the road. So went to uni with no idea of what to do and what I really wanted. Came out of that in the middle of a recession, so there was not a lot of jobs around. So
kind of like, now's COVID is completely different, but coming out around maybe the GFC.
Look at where Australia is now as well, with interest rates starting to go up, and it's going to be a tough old place for a good couple of years, right?
Our target demographic is around people my age and older. Yep. So if you remember around 2008, people would have come out around the same time. So there'd be a lot of people that would relate to the coming out in some not so good times.
Yeah, exactly right. So you come out of uni, you've got no idea. You come out with a degree that doesn't really set you up for much, which... That's a whole other podcast of what I think of university. But if you know what you want to do and you're very specific, it's fantastic.
I agree.
But didn't know what I was going to do. Started my first job out of university was at the Australian Reptile Park as an animal keeper there, which...
What's your best story as an animal keeper?
I've got a lot of stories as an animal keeper. Oh, look. Which one do you want?
I've heard a lot, but what's the best?
Best stories. You want the good stories or the bad? I mean, look, I've seen guys get bitten by snakes. I've been bitten by numerous snakes, alligators.
So your first job out of uni, you're getting bitten by things.
My first ever snake I got bitten by in my life was an anaconda. There you
Jesus.
Go. Yeah. So it was only a baby one.
Now, I'm out here complaining getting bitten by mosquitoes. And you're out there getting bitten by anacondas.
No, so I went to the interview. I was desperate for a job because there was just nothing around. And there was nothing coming out with what I wanted to do. And I didn't really know. And desperate for a job. And there was an education officer role that they advertised, right?
Oh, wow. Yep.
I thought that sounds pretty. Go around to schools and take the snakes with you or the reptiles with you and do the show. I thought,
bit of public speaking.
How hard could that be?
Sure.
But I have no interest in animals generally. I love our dogs, but I have no interest in animals.
We've had a snake problem recently and you haven't taken a liking to them.
I haven't enjoyed that. No interest and have a... immense dislike for snakes, hate snakes.
Sure.
So I get to this job, and one of the first things they ask me is, do you like reptiles? Do you like snakes? And of course, I was like, absolutely, love them. Love snakes.
Yeah.
Love it. So didn't get the education officer role, but they said, we do have an animal keeper role available if you're interested. And I was like, I'll take anything.
And this is how bad the market was, right? There was just nothing available.
There was nothing.
Yeah.
I came out of uni and I think I got that job probably 6 months later. So
Jesus, what were you doing in that 6 months?
I was study and just applying. Old school applying, man. Just writing, typing out, buying the paper every day, typing out job.
So you would have had to
send them in,
right? Fax them in, yeah. So you can't just
fax them. No, I think we just sent them back.
You can't just LinkedIn Easy Apply.
No, God, no, you can't just Easy Apply LinkedIn.
I've been doing 300 applications or something like that.
Had to type out every application.
Jesus.
Obviously your CV was already set and forget. Yeah. We did have computers and printers at that
That's
stage.
Good, yeah.
But your
the
cover
wheel
letter,
was invented back then.
It was. Yeah, it had
that's
been
good.
We were just doing it. But yeah, it was a tough place. It was a really, interest rates were, in the teens.
Jesus.
So, it was a different place back then. But and so really, really tough for jobs. So just took whatever I get, took that. So I spent best part of 2 years just feeding animals, doing reptile shows, all that sort of stuff. Yeah.
Because that today, because I think I was reading something that people in my generation are expected to have 15 different career paths.
Yeah.
I've had 5 jobs already.
Yeah.
And I don't think I may have spent 2 years somewhere once.
Yeah.
And that would have been pretty early on.
Yeah. Again, different times,
Yeah.
Everyone knows what their parents long-termers and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
We've got people in our company right now that have been here for 20 odd years.
Yeah, wow.
30 years, some of them. So yeah, it's it's a thing of the past in a lot of cases, but I think the world with everything that's happening has become more dynamic anyway. So you can understand it. I sort of look at roles and think, particularly at senior levels, where we are now. I think if you've been in the same senior role for 5 years, you need to start looking around. You're
getting a bit too comfortable.
10 years in big senior roles are probably the max, I reckon, these days.
Right. Okay.
You need time to get things done and make sure you see projects through and things like that. But a good CEO or someone or MD or whatever, 5 to 10 years is plenty. You should be looking at what the next challenge is. So,
okay.
That's at a big stable end of the business. When you're finding your way, I think you've just got to keep looking to move and grow.
You can go from snakes to that level.
Yeah,
and we will have to track back.
So exactly. So look, I saw lots of guys get bitten by snakes. There was a guy there that had got bitten by a cobra and lost his finger.
Jesus.
Guy there that got bitten by a tiger snake and nearly died, like really seriously badly.
Jesus.
There was lots of close shaves. But it just wasn't me, and I hated it.
Of course, I can imagine.
Then I went and started to do my dip ed, and then went into working at a school camp as a school camp leader and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Sort of just still bumbling around. This is 20 to sort of 24, and then 24 I had the opportunity to go over to England and play cricket.
Yep,
and I did that, and that's when I started to. I was away from home. First season was fine because I got paid to play, so I didn't have to really work. Just did a bit of pub work, just to film my days.
It'll be a good year.
Yeah, it was. Those stories are different stories, but they were good times. Yeah, but then I decided to stay there, and that's when I started to work out. Well, I've got nothing behind me. I was 25.
Yeah.
So what the hell do I do? And just thought I need to. What would be my ultimate job at that point?
Yeah.
And sadly, wouldn't be great to work in a sports store.
Really?
Yeah.
That was your ultimate goal.
Work or own a sports store was my ultimate goal.
Sure.
So I actually got into a company over there called All Sports, which was a sports retailer, so a bit like Foot Locker.
Are they still around?
No, they got bought out, and then I think by JD.
Oh, JD. Okay, so JD is still pretty big.
I think them. But they were a big UK business, and I got a job as a sort of a store manager, sort of trainee, and then into a store manager. So I did that, and that was sort of my first foray into sort of sales. And that's where everything sort of then just sort of went.
Sales, I'm not sure so much these days. I know it's still a big role, but I've done sales myself.
Yeah.
And most of my roles up until, I still sell stuff. Now it's just people. That sounds bad. I sell people's skills. I market people's skills. Yeah. And my own. But sales gives you the confidence and the...
It does, and I think the thing that most people don't want to know, and we have this conversation all the time at home as well with everyone at home, is like sales is a skill that everyone needs to have. Everyone needs to be able to sell, if not themselves, what they're doing. If you want to move up in the world in terms of promotions, if you want to be able to just be better at what you do, you've got to be able to sell.
This is a regular conversation at home.
Sell yourself. And what you're doing, and if you can't do that, then it's gonna slow your progress down. So you've got to be able to do it. So be able to get in front of people and sell is really, really important. So
or know when you're being sold to.
Yep, that always helps.
Yeah, like a simple, not so dark. You need to learn sales or you're gonna die. Is like if you're a male and you go to a clothing store. And there is a female, you've had this experience potentially where they tell you look good in everything and you end up buying an extra suit.
So that's the difference between me and you. I know that I don't look good in anything, so it's easy.
I've bought an extra suit, and I know a couple of my friends.
Easy for me to say
I know a couple of my friends out there have been there while I've bought the extra suit and bought one themselves.
Yeah, no, I don't have that problem.
You've been sold to before,
absolutely.
though.
Of course,
yeah.
Of course, yeah. And it's easy to get trapped in it.
Yeah.
Even if you know it's happening.
Oh, exactly. I'm more likely to buy something if I know that they're doing a good job at selling.
Exactly right.
I'm like, you're killing it. I'll buy that.
Yeah. And look, there is that. Sometimes you think, you know what, you've done a good job. I'm happy to reward it. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're around 25.
So 25, I still had no idea what I was doing.
Yeah.
At 25. And I think that's that's one of the first things I think to call out is like I went from 25, I worked in retail for best part of 5 years.
Yeah.
So till I was about 30, and it was store management, and I came back to Australia and was store manager at my first job in Australia when I got back after England was store assistant manager at Babyco. I got to tell you, that was the worst job I've ever had in my life.
And you were around almost 30 at this stage, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of people my age, and something I struggle with, is because of the social media, there is a lot of pressure to, like, by 25 you need to be a millionaire.
Yeah.
So it's a good story for you to tell is yours.
Well, I think that's the thing, and that's why I thought I'd start there, because I think
you've got to, relevant.
There is that pressure, and there is a lot of that, and the reality is that it happens for such a small amount of people, and if you're lucky enough to do it, then fantastic.
Yeah.
But the thing you learn really, really quickly at a certain point in time, and it's not around 25, and it's probably not even around 30.
Yeah.
It's that ability not to compare.
Yeah.
Where your journey to everyone else's journey, because everyone's different. I used to look back and I'd see guys that, as I said, I had no idea what I wanted to do when I went to uni.
Yeah.
I see guys that went straight into work.
Oh,
and I used to love those guys because they first year they were working, they had their car, they had, they probably were very close to being able to, back then it was a lot easier to get into a house and things like that. So they seem to be a lot further along.
And living the perfect life,
right? Those guys now, at some point, they got to there and
you can keep going,
right? And that's not because of uni. That's just because of a whole other things that happen. But I do think that's where I talk about what I think about university. I think if you're really focused and you know what you want to do, it's great. Otherwise, get out and get into the workforce.
I use the term, what have I been using? Throwing shit at the wall until something sticks.
Yeah.
For a less brand safe way of saying it.
Yeah. So there's guys I know that did that and were really and have successful trade businesses and that sort of stuff. There's other guys that I know that are good friends that are expats because they got into bottom end of companies and worked their way up, and so I think you can't compare yourself to where you're at, and you can't compare yourself in the speed of things.
Yeah.
But I went from 30 to 45, 50, in the space of 10, 15 years to go from working in retail.
I didn't know you worked at Babyco, and I've known you since.
Yeah. So
I've known you for about
that
10,
was
15.
short-lived, and it was awful.
So this is the first time for anyone that's listening to the podcast or watching. This is the first time that I'm hearing this Babyco story. So I'm a little bit dumbfounded right now because I've known Brett.
Mate, you should have seen me one-handed
15 years.
Fold up and unfold a pram. I was.
This is the first time.
I was good.
I thought so. From my perspective, I thought, and I'll let you get to where you worked at. I thought you worked at where you did from 28. Maybe. No. And I was like, he's had his shit sorted out for a while.
No,
this is news to me.
I didn't have anything sorted for a long time. So I went and look, when did I turn 30? What year was that?
I don't want to do the math too quickly for you. I answered too quickly last time.
Yeah. So look, I got to, is that right? Jesus. so old. So I got to 30, and I'd only just I only just got out of retail.
Sure. Yeah.
So retail. Look,
How did you feel when you turned 30?
When I was 25 in England,
Yeah,
right, and we used to laugh at the 30-year-olds that they were so old
because I'm about to turn 25 on Sunday.
Found my first grey hair when I was 25.
Yeah,
on my chest, which was depressing. So look, 25 I was okay.
Yeah,
30,
I guess it's more around the comparing side of things. So when you turn 30, that feels like, I know that a lot of people feel a big
30,
pressure to start their
30,
life.
I felt like, I felt like there are things that you can get away with at 25 that you can't get away with at 30.
Oh, Jesus, I've got to live it up.
There is, yeah. So, there are things, people will be more forgiving of stupidity at 25 than they will at 30. By 30, most people look around saying you should have your shit together.
Yeah, Roger.
So, but that's having your shit together and being where you need to be and all the rest of it are two very different things.
Different, yeah.
And I think that's where 30 was for me. I was like, I just started to make the steps to start feeling like I was doing something. So, I moved to Sydney. I was earning $27,000 managing a Foot Locker store at Chatswood.
You could make that on AusStudy now.
Yeah. Didn't go a long way.
Yeah, I could imagine.
So it was tough, and it was tough. I didn't have a lot of money. Thought being a store manager was going to be really good, but there was no money. So it was like, right, what do I need to do? Because this just doesn't work.
Yeah, of course.
But I liked the leadership, and I liked, and I was good at the selling stuff.
Yeah. And obviously the public speaking from. Wait, you didn't do the school role, did you?
No, I didn't do back in the day. No, but I used to do the shows at the park.
Zoo.
So it forced me to be able to talk in front of. So
there's a learned skill there.
Yeah,
so
it was. Yeah,
it's kind of
confidence to stand up in front of people and talk.
Kind of, I guess, in hindsight, for you is easy to pick up, but for people that are going through it, there could be some things. We were speaking about it with my sister last night that you're doing now that you pick up skills you don't even know until 10 years later.
That's exactly right, and that's a really good point that we'll get to. But I think. Then I made the decision, right, I need to get out of retail. I'm not going to make any money here.
Of course, yeah.
So what do I do? And I then was like, well, these guys keep coming in and selling. I love the Nike guys' roll looks really cool.
Yeah.
The Adidas guys' roll looks really cool. Walk around, drive around in a car and sell shoes to people. I thought that was...
Yeah.
So I went for a couple of those roles, didn't get any of them. And then the role came up for selling check guarantee. So we had a little sticker on our counter at Foot Locker that was a little, at the time it was called Transacts. And if a customer brought in a check, we would basically just punch some numbers, the check numbers into the phone, and it would basically register that check, so it was guaranteed.
Okay.
So I only knew that through working at Foot Locker, so I went for that, but it was a sales rep job, and that was my first sales rep job, and I went from there. But But between that job and my first job out of uni, I reckon I would have easily applied for 1,000 or so roles in that time, right? So that
how'd the rejection feel?
It ebbs and flows,
like
everything. Some days are diamonds.
Yeah.
Some days are stone. It's like that for everyone, and I think it is just roll with it. But again, I think not having any other issues around me. I had a very stable, very very stable family life, very stable upbringing, good friends around me.
Yep.
Went out and spent too much money on alcohol on a Saturday night, but
don't we all?
Yep, that was pretty normal stuff, and growing up was all pretty normal. So didn't have those issues. So the ebbs and flows of all of that, you just learnt to live with and could deal with and could live with, right? Yeah. So I didn't have all of the other issues around it. Right?
You were still backed into a corner into a sense where you needed to figure out how to get out of being a store manager.
Of course, yeah. But this is the thing. You come to points where you've got to make decisions, and you've just got to make. Yeah. You've just got to take some educated guesses and take some educated risk, and and I think at some point you just everyone bottoms out to whatever that level is for them. They say enough's enough. I've got to do something about it, and it
is like that, isn't it?
Because
it kind of relates back to last week, where mine's way more significant of a blow than than that. But everyone does bottom out.
Everyone peaks, everyone troughs. It's just the extremes of that, and how they bounce back from that. And resilience is one of those things that
I think it's a very important
you
trait.
learn as much as you have it.
You have it, innate.
And I think it's something you have to learn and a lot. And I think it comes in lots of different ways.
Well, I was at Mind Valley, which is a company, a tech company, during the week, and this might give a little bit of hope to people that are a bit lost, because while we're talking about applying for a million different jobs and not knowing what you want to do with your life, I quite feel the same right now. So it was because it's the first time we've spoken about this ever. So it was very interesting to hear for me, even just as sitting across the table from you, is that Mind Valley was saying that they'd rather hire someone that's gone through the shit and is resilient than someone that knows their coding inside out.
Yep.
They want to hire for culture.
Yeah.
Hire that person that's going to stick through it than the person that's book savvy and is going to break at the first sign of resistance. So I think that was that's quite interesting on resilience, and that's what people are looking for.
Absolutely. And if you look at, and that's the thing. We'll cut through because I want to talk about resilience and a few other things. But you look at where we are now. Yeah. So I'm somewhere around 50.
Somewhere.
Yeah.
In the range of 50.
50, yeah.
Yeah, 48.
50. To 52, somewhere in that
somewhere
range.
in there,
yeah. But I think the reality is that if you look at where I am now, CEO of a company, running it up here in Asia, looking after Asia and Europe, and having had a few of those roles now.
Well, I think
you can see that I didn't know what I was doing, and I was doing some, paying my dues for a long time, up until about 30, around 31, 32.
When did you start working for Macquarie?
So I reckon I was about 35.
35, sure.
Yeah. So I reckon I was about 35 then. I'd been made redundant before that.
Okay.
Like a couple of years before that, I'd been made redundant. I'd been sacked from a job.
Yeah.
I got impatient in some roles and resigned from roles I shouldn't have resigned from, and went to roles I shouldn't have gone to.
I think you should speak more on the resigning and the impatience, because that is something I had written down.
Yeah. So I think there are through all of this, you get to there's always times where I was doing a good job. I'd been in the job for 5 minutes.
Yep.
I was doing a good job and I wanted more money, or I wanted a different title, or I wanted this.
Yeah.
And so, instead of sticking at it and waiting for those opportunities to come, I'd force it, and I'd either resign or do something stupid and
a little bit self-destructive.
A little bit self-destructive, absolutely, right? And I think everyone's got the ability to be self-destructive.
I think so. I agree.
And so I as I said, I went through a redundancy. I got sacked from a role because I was impatient and was made some rash decisions. And there's an impatience to get up and up and up and up and up.
Absolutely.
And it wasn't until, and I didn't really learn this until 35, 36, being at Macquarie, starting to be around different caliber of people. You then start to realize how does it really happen, and you've got to, and how important resilience is, how important patience is, how important doing the best job in the job you're in now is all that really matters. They're the things that are really, really important. The discipline and consistency that you have around your current role is what's going to set you up for your next role. It doesn't mean you don't pop your head up and know where that is, but there's a lot of things you learn. But I didn't learn them until I was 35. If I look at where I was at 30 to 35, I had a better grasp of who I was. I was more focused on what I was doing.
Yeah.
I had more idea about the direction I was going in. And a lot of as I said, you leave your 20s behind. There's a maturity that comes into it. Of course. But it wasn't until 35 that I actually, started making decent money and really finding my way and doing it.
Most people would be freaked out by that idea.
Yeah.
And I think it's important for the podcast or for the people to relate to you as well, was to continue to tell this story, because just saying you're a CEO in Asia, it becomes a level of inaccessible. But 35 is an age where most people would be like, holy shit, like, what am I doing?
What am I doing? I know. And I think the reality
I need
is
to have
that
kids, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a whole kettle of fish there. You didn't have kids then?
Not then, no.
I don't think.
We could get our ages right. Yeah, I don't think so. Yeah,
I don't think you had kids.
No,
then.
I was closer to 40. Yeah,
closer to 40, right?
Yeah. Well, I had to be because I'm only 50 and I haven't got a 20-year-old kid.
No, that's a very good point. No, I'm just trying to think of when I came into your life.
Yeah. So it was around that time. It was sort of 36, 37.
Sure.
All around that time.
Our stepkids, that's a whole different thing we can talk about.
That's a whole other podcast, but I think it's important. It is important. It's one of the things that there are lots of lessons that we can talk about through stuff. And as I said, the key words will be always around discipline and consistency and resilience.
Yep.
But resilience is something that you just have to build on. And like the guys at Mind Valley said, is like, and I see it now in, we've got all levels of people in our business globally here.
Yeah.
And there is a fragility in a lot of younger people.
Yeah, there is.
That, that doesn't lend itself to being a strong employee for a company.
God, no.
And it's the resilience that comes with just learning how to deal with life.
Yeah.
And now that doesn't come till 60. It doesn't come till 60. If it comes at 20, 22 and at 25 you're a millionaire, then awesome. Fantastic. But it's just going to come, and you got to face into it and work out that not everything happens at the same time for everybody.
Well, the tough stuff sometimes the good stuff. Yeah, there's time.
It's never too late. It's never too late for anything. It's never too late to start again. We all know about Colonel Sanders, and he was 65 before.
Well, I was going to say, there's always those stories like Oprah, or there's a million. You see them and you're like, fuck, whatever. Doesn't really matter.
But anybody who's successful, semi-successful, and you determine what success is.
I was going to say that's really important, because we are a very business-orientated family. We love our business, but that's not success for everyone.
No, absolutely
Success for everyone's not being a CEO. Success could be having a gigantic family of 8.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that is very important. And the
only way to get a gigantic family of 8 is to be very consistent and disciplined with how much you and your partner are going at it.
Correct.
And then how
to financially support that.
How to support that.
Correct.
And what to do with that. So it doesn't matter what you want to do.
Yeah.
And I think there's no right time to get stuff done, but you've got to look back. And the biggest lesson that I think I learned, there's a lot of lessons I learned. One of the biggest lessons is that, actually there's 2. The first one is you've got to do the best job for where you are right now. So that's the first one.
That's a big one.
And patience is always going to be a key to that as well.
Yeah.
You've also got to be able to stop comparing and stop looking at life in very short cycles. If I look at my life over the last 2 years with COVID, I would say I haven't achieved anything.
Done
anything, right?
Yeah.
If I broaden my view a little bit and say, where was I? What year are we in now? 2022, right?
Yeah.
If I broaden my horizon a little bit and say, where was I in 2015 compared to now? It's like, Jesus Christ, there is a whole world of difference.
Well, only I know what you've done between then and now.
Yeah.
So that's when I graduated, was 2015.
Yeah,
so why don't you speak about what you've done since 2015?
So since 2015...
it's been a lot of risk-taking.
Yeah. So in 2015, I got a new job. Resigned from my old job, then decided in Brisbane.
Yeah.
So we were in Melbourne at the time. Got a new job in Brisbane. We're going to move. Then decided I didn't want to take that job because we didn't want to move the family. So after resigning,
it's interesting that you didn't want to move the family.
Yeah. After resigning and accepting this role and going through a whole process with this new company, that was one of the most awful conversations I've ever had to have. I had to ring this new company after even going to conferences and things with them.
Oh God!
I had to ring him and say, look, we just can't do it. We can't move. We thought we could. We can't.
So how many conferences? Like, what are you talking? Are you talking like nice dinners, very intimate?
Met the teams, met clients.
Oh God!
Yeah, all of that stuff.
Oh God! Like
you're
basically
was rolling
getting
out of this role and rolling into this role, right?
Oh, yeah.
And they'd flown us all up to look at houses. And did all of that stuff, and so that wasn't the worst conversation. So that was a hard one because I liked them, and it just didn't work out. The recruiter phone call was I could imagine livid. She was pissed.
Yeah,
really pissed.
Yeah,
because it was a very nice commission for her that she'd just lost out. She had to go back to the drawing board. So it was a shock. It was a shocker. Not a pleasant thing.
No.
But and then a year later, we were just at a point where we just needed a
was
change.
Was it a year?
Yeah, it was the next year. So
what did you do?
2015, I resigned, and then.
What did you do between 2015 and 16? Because I
stayed at the same role. So,
right. Okay.
So I went back and just they didn't really want to lose me, so I went back, renegotiated high salary, some different terms, and then stayed. And then a year later resigned. Yep. So we resigned. We did the sea change. We got out of Melbourne. We moved to Coffin Bay, which is 8 hours out of Adelaide. Tiny little fishing town. Got involved in a restaurant there and tried to make a go of being in...
Owned a restaurant
and tried to make a go of being in hospitality. I still was consulting to companies on the side. And you guys tried to make a go of that.
It was a complete sea change.
Complete sea change. We went from being, Mel was at Macquarie.
Yeah.
She threw that in. I was with the company I was with, threw that in. We were earning a lot of money.
People thought you were crazy.
Yeah. Oh, they did. They thought we were nuts.
Yeah.
And look, maybe we were.
And
we weren't happy with where we were at. We had a lot of money. We had a lot of money coming in.
Yeah.
We had a business on the side that was paying us good money.
Yeah.
We had good salaries. We lived in a nice house. We had a lot going for us. We were not happy.
We're not happy. Yeah.
And I think just a little burnt out.
I don't know if you believe in energy, but there would have been a lot of bad energy in that house as well.
There was a hell of a lot of bad energy. It needed a smudge stick or two.
Absolutely.
The odd crystal wouldn't have gone astray.
You're not going to get me into crystals, but my family is into crystals.
We'll do a crystal podcast.
I'm sure Mum would love that.
Yeah.
She'll actually listen to that one.
Yeah. She will. So look, we just needed to get out. So we thought we'll go and do this restaurant thing and get out. And I stupidly had in my head I was sort of nearly ready to semi-retire. I could see myself just fishing every day and not having too much responsibility.
You can do that there, though.
You could do that.
You could do that very easily.
It just wasn't me.
No.
And I didn't. I turned into a nightmare of a human there. I mean, I was a nightmare of a human anyway, in a lot of ways.
Wow.
In a different way, though, and I just, it just didn't work. For us. I mean, look, the good thing was we put some skills into the restaurant. Yep. It's now doing really well. We're not involved anymore, but the restaurant's doing well.
Coffin Bay's doing really well.
Yeah, it's got we finally got a good chef in there, and he's doing a great job, and it got profitable, which it wasn't. So it was able to wash its face. So all of that sort of stuff was good.
Yep. Well, also opened up you guys to the idea of moving because before that, I know there was a lot of contention, from my understanding anyway, around moving to Brisbane was like leaving me and Soph behind, and that's always been a big issue. Breaking up the family.
It was, and it wasn't the right time because of year 12 and all that sort of stuff.
Correct.
So the little kids were little enough; it didn't make any difference.
Sure.
So for Brisbane, but it was year 12 and year 11. So that was ultimately the problem. So Mel, she was always at a place where she'd been in Melbourne forever.
And she moved a lot as a kid.
She moved a lot as a kid.
Yeah.
So she was always used to had this.
Oh, we've moved so many times,
right? So she's always been on the move.
Yeah.
But had always been and felt a little stuck to Melbourne at times. So when the opportunity came up for Brisbane, that's why we sort of jumped. And then when it was like real, it's like we can't do it now.
We can't do it in timing.
Coffin Bay did help that absolutely because we did that move and it was with worthwhile.
And I'm just going to keep bringing it up every time it comes up. This is just in hindsight. These little crazy things you do in hindsight makes a massive difference. It's little skills you learn along the way or little marks you make in your brain.
Yeah.
How does David Goggins put it? There's I can't remember for the life of me.
Which one?
It's just, I'll just explain it my own way. So basically, all these things along the way are little bookmarks you put in your brain, little skills, or little changes in your mind.
Yeah.
Because Mum was stuck to Melbourne, I was stuck to Melbourne.
Yeah.
So I just left Melbourne.
Yep.
I can tell you without a doubt, I've been here for a month. I don't want to go back.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's that leaving that now, pre-leaving, I felt trapped.
Yeah. But you were also, there were times as well as like you could say, I never want to leave Melbourne as well.
I used to be the ambassador, of course, absolutely. But opening up that skill, so I've learned that skill of being able to travel now and think about globally for work. You guys had the skill of opening up your workforce globally, and then before you were mentioning public speaking, even back at the reptile park. So it's these skills you gain along the way that you don't see in hindsight. So
that's exactly right.
What you could be doing right now might seem pointless and boring as shit. But you're probably learning a skill that's going to teach you later on. So that's what comes back to your point about being your best self.
Yep.
And I'm going to call them bookmarks.
Yep, that's fine.
I'm going to call them bookmarks. That's going to be my thing. They're bookmarks.
Okay, that sounds fine. Yeah. So look, we
I'm trademarking that. Nobody take
bookmarks.
that. That's mine.
Good luck with that one. But yeah, so we did. We up roots and we moved to Coffin Bay. We were there for two and a half years, I guess. Realized that wasn't the answer either.
No.
We learned very quickly as well that you cannot run away from yourselves, which was part of the problem. That we realized in Coffin Bay is that and
it is a nice place to run away.
Yeah, you could run away and hide there easily.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
But that wasn't where we were at. But we got to a point. We did get to a point in Coffin Bay. We got to a pretty low point where, because of what was happening with the economy and everything, and there was just some stuff going on, and the winters were tough in Coffin Bay.
They are tough.
It's a tourist town, so there's no customers. There's a lot of drain on cash flow, all that sort of stuff. We got to the point where it was like we've got to do something.
We have to do something.
And so I decided that, I'm going to up the ante with my consulting stuff.
Yeah, sure.
So that then led us to working with the company that I'm with now. So I consulted to them, for a little bit, and then an opportunity came up with that to say, well, we like you, we like what you're doing. There's an opportunity to go and run the business for us in Asia and in Europe, and would you be up for it? So we looked at it all and we thought, and so what a great opportunity that would be.
Well, then once again, how was the experience deciding to leave Australia?
Because
that's a tough one as well. Melbourne to Adelaide, you kind of can justify it. It's a different state. You got Mum has a lot of family in Adelaide.
Yep. Yeah, I think it was looking at,
because you had no one here, right?
No, there was no support structure here. There was no one here. We
Correct.
didn't know anyone in Malaysia. We didn't.
So just
really
for anyone
Malaysia,
facing into potentially a completely new frontier, I know a few people just about to do that are moving to London, for example, and they've got no one there. So, and I mean, what was that like? Well,
look, I've been fortunate. I moved to London.
Yep.
And played cricket there, and that forced me out of home, sort of thing, and to find my way. So I know I sort of had done it before.
Yeah.
Moving into, it's more a mindset of, yes, you've got to look at the pros and cons. Yes, you've got to weigh up all the risks of it all. Yes, you've got to do that. But it's also having a bit of a adventure mindset as well.
Absolutely.
And, one of the things, and this is another thing, we talk a lot about in business, particularly around finance and insurance and all the sort of work that I've been involved in over the years. We talk a lot around risk management, risk controls, risk as a general...
Risk management. That is not a term I miss.
Right. But the reality of it is that risk management is in everyday life. And what life is really about is taking risks, right?
Absolutely.
You've got to be able to take risks.
I agree.
But what most people don't realise and don't understand is that every risk needs to be assessed. Every risk needs to be managed to make them successful. You can take a risk you can take a risk and that's fine.
It might work
daily. Out tomorrow, right? But you got to work out how to manage those risks. If you're gonna jump out of if you go and talk to anyone who jumps out of planes,
like so,
right? Not like so. Someone who actually does it, like professionally.
Professionally, right? Yeah, sure.
Yeah, jumping out of a plane is a risk.
Absolutely.
They go through a process.
F1 drivers is a risk.
Anyone who does risky work, but there is a process and they work out how to minimize the risk, how to manage that risk. And that's what life is.
Absolutely.
So, was moving to Malaysia a risk? Yeah, it was. Did we do things to minimize that risk? Absolutely we did. We negotiated the right package. We came over and worked out where we were going to be first. Yeah. We made sure that the company had the right structures in place. So there are things that
What about just people my age, I guess? What about the social side of things? So how did you guys settle into that? So I guess for anyone that is about to move, if there is a little bit of hope, I've made some friends here myself, and couple of them I would hopefully be lifelong friends. Like they're really awesome people. I was at a fantastic barbecue last night and I was dancing in a lounge room, something I never thought I'd do, having amazing food. And I've been here a month. Yeah,
I think my advice to anybody is to not rely on, like, don't get me wrong, social media is all great.
It is.
Don't rely on it. I think you've got to, the thing that you learn very quickly is, yes, you can make an initial connection, but you've got to get out. You've got to get outside.
Absolutely.
And you've got to meet people face to face.
Yeah.
If what I'm seeing in the world right now is that everyone's been stuck. Everyone at the start of COVID was like, this is fantastic. I don't need to go to the office. I can stay online. I can do everything online. I can do everything virtual. People are craving and missing human interaction.
Absolutely.
And you don't make real friends. You don't understand people, in their entirety until you're face to face.
As someone that's been, my job was created because of COVID, community management. And as someone that's seen a lot of that side of things, been on the internet, been in internet communities, you don't even know who the person is until you meet them face to face. There's people that I thought I would love that I did meet face to face, and I was like, "Fuck, you're a prick." Yeah. But online, they're just a completely different version of themselves.
And I'm not dissing the online communities at all, because I think
I love
it's
them.
great.
Don't get me wrong.
No, exactly right.
I think they serve a very good purpose.
I still am a firm believer in human connection.
I think there's a nice mix between the two.
Yeah, it's like everything in the world now. I think the hybrid workplace, the hybrid working, it's a hybrid model that we're moving to for everything.
Yeah, and I like it. It gives people that real work-life balance that was promised once upon a time that was a unicorn, and now we've actually got it. We had to suffer through some things to get it, but I think we've got it.
Yeah, so I think you cannot not do it. So if you're young and you want to travel, my advice would be to get out and go. And to take those educated risks, whatever you want to call it. If you just want to get out,
you can do some really minimal things like. What have I been doing? I was spending a lot of money, like an idiot, but getting into the Funko Pop community, that's something in Australia that is considered quite nerdy. Here it's very normal. And I'm in that community. I know a lot of people through that. I just would say pursue your interests.
Yeah.
Honestly,
Yeah.
you're in a new place. Be the person you want to be.
Yeah, exactly right.
You don't have the high school drama to worry about.
You don't have to take any of that baggage with you. The only baggage you take with you is the one you put in your carry-on.
Correct.
You know, you don't need anything else. And no one, and you know what? No one really cares.
Nobody, exactly.
No one cares about you as much as you do.
Correct.
No one thinks about you as much as you do.
Absolutely.
You know, everyone has their own shit going on. Everyone's got their own baggage. They're thinking about themselves more than they're thinking about you. So you just be you, and just be the best version of you can be.
And you'll attract the right people.
You will. You'll attract the right people. You'll attract your people. You'll find them.
I'm as a 20. So I used to DJ. I think I mentioned it when I was younger. I thought those were my people.
Yep.
And as I get older, it's going to change and change and change.
It changes all the time.
At 24, almost 25, the people I have in my life now, like my two best friends, they're my people. They've been my people for a while. But the people that I'm attracting now are more my people than ever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because talking about finance and geopolitics is really boring to so many people.
Yeah, absolutely.
But to me, it's gold.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the thing. And that's the thing you see over your life. People come and go. And I had amazing friends when I was, between 20 and 30. I had a great bunch of guys from cricket and a great bunch of people from school. But life happens and these people move in and out, and that's just the way it is. And you start to understand what, how life changes you and how you evolve, and, everyone's constantly evolving and people do come and go. It's as sad as it is sometimes. And there are some people that I would love to still be in touch with, but it just is half of it's my own fault.
I've got a few of those in the closet as well. Yeah. But I did write something about that, a little analogy that I wrote while I was in hospital. It's kind of life is like a bit of a train with different stops. And I likened it to the New York subway, actually.
Yep.
And some people are on there for a few stops. Some people are on there for the whole journey.
Yep.
Some people are like the street performers that are on the subway that seem really entertaining and can get annoying after a while, and eventually you have to get off. But yeah, I think that's a really good way to put it.
It's not a bad one. Yeah. It's true. And that's just normal. And I think, there's lots of people that come and go, but you just find no matter where you are, if you just, you will just find your tribe or your people, whatever you want to call it, where you are, if you're true to yourself. And
so where would you say you're at now, wrapping up? Where would you say, what's your magnus opus of your life?
I don't know. I don't think I'm nowhere near knowing that yet.
Yeah.
So I think I'm in a...
Well, that's good to know, because at 50, a lot of people would think they've peaked.
Yeah, no.
And we have a very different view in our family of always self-improving and pretty much going until...
Yeah, I've made, a lot of realizations. Turning 50 for me wasn't a big deal either. No. It was, I had a really nice time away with half the family, because no one else could get here because of COVID. But we had a really nice, quiet.
Get to do it this weekend.
Quiet holiday, exactly. Quiet holiday. It wasn't the big. I haven't had a midlife crisis meltdown or anything like that at 40 or 50. No, I think we're way past that sort of stuff.
That's
now.
good. That's good.
Look, I think for me, what's important to me is there are things that drive me, and I want to be better than I am.
Yep.
I want the business I'm in to be better than it is. I want my family to be in a position where they're all healthy and well and have opportunities in front of them and things like that. So there's things that are important, but I have no clue what
the future brings,
what that's going to look like.
Yeah.
There'll be business opportunities, there'll be risks that we take, there'll be stuff that we do. Where will we be living in 3 years' time? I don't know. Maybe it's here, maybe it's not. Who knows? There's lots. The world's a big place. So, even at 50, you know what? we're doing well. You know, the family's doing well. Kids are doing great at school. You guys are finding your feet. Soph's doing great at uni and work. Mel's doing really well. We're all in a really good place.
We are, yeah.
But you know, there's still plenty more left to do.
There's a lot more to go.
You know, and I think there is a look. The difference I would say right now is that I watched there was a movie. At your age, it's about patience. It's about finding the discipline and finding the consistency and things that are going to set you up for the future,
life.
right?
Sure.
But the patience that goes with that, and the be able to stop looking at where am I right now versus where have I come from. So even at your age now, if you look at where you were 10 years ago to where you are now, right? But just in who you were and what you were doing and how you know, it's a massive difference. And you've got to stop and give yourself some
credit.
Some credit for that stuff. And I think that's where everyone gets a little bit caught up. Is like, I don't care where you were last year. I don't care how hard it looks tomorrow.
Yeah.
Start to look at get the perspective that makes a difference. And life is not about short, sharp. Life is a long process. And so a bit of patience around all of that, and a bit of kudos for the stuff that you've done where you have changed, and everyone does. Yeah. So I think that's really important to keep that perspective and that patience. But there is I'm getting to the point now. I saw this thing in a movie that it did make me stop and think. I can't remember what movie it was. I think it was that new Ryan Reynolds one where he comes back to visit his son, himself. And there was a thing in that about the phrase was there's not as much time left as you think, or something like that. Yeah, and it's like, okay, maybe that now starts to play in my mind a little bit, but then I think, you know what, I'm going to live till I'm 150, so it doesn't really matter. We are
on the 150 train.
Absolutely.
We'll get into that another day. Longevity.
So, not really too worried about that. So that came and went pretty. So maybe that was my midlife crisis.
Yeah.
But there's always time, and it's never too late. I know that because the things that we've changed and done, it's never too late to do.
I agree, absolutely. I think that's about where we want to keep our episode lengths. So I'll do the outro. If you got this far, you should probably like, comment, and subscribe because you would have enjoyed the content. I didn't say it earlier. There's a Patreon if you want to financially support us. Just for getting guests and things like that on there. You'd get the podcast a week earlier because we'll be batch recording. And there's a few extra little goodies that I'll be adding into there. And yeah, we're going to come up with some good ideas for that. No pressure on that one though. And if you want to watch me, I stream regularly on Twitch, twitch.tv/DefsNotTom. But other than that, keep stepping up. Keep doing you. If you keep commenting, please. We love seeing them. If you have your own story, put them in the comments. We love to see them. And maybe we'll start reading some out. But thank you for your time and have a good one.
See ya.